as we're going into the new year, we want to be focused on our goals, but not just any goals, specific and short-term goals. So those words are carefully chosen. So I want you guys to make sure you write that down. So now why do I say that? When I say short-term, first of all, I'm referring to anywhere from 3 to 12 months. So goals that are within the time frame of 3 months to 12 months, and that are, of course, specific. For anybody who doesn't know exactly what specific means or what I'm alluding to, just to be extra clear, it means goals that are detailed down to the number, down to the specific thing, you actually giving it some tangible value, right? So instead of saying, I want a car in the next 3 months, you say, I want this exact year, model, make, type of car, this color, new, leased, used, whatever it is. That's specific, right? But instead of saying in the next 12 months, I want to make a lot of money. That's not a real goal. That's not a specific goal. A lot of money means something completely different to every single person on here. Specific would be, I want to make $100,000 in the next 12 months. I want to make $1 million in the next 12 months. I want to make $350K in the next 12 months because you have specific reasons for that. So you've actually done the math, right? So anyways, you want the goals to be specific and short term. Now, under this umbrella, I have 5 points that I want to cover. The reasons of why you want to have specific and short term goals. The first reason is this. People often use long-term goals to put off action and procrastinate. This is something I can speak to from my own experience. I've been writing down my goals since I was 15 years old, 16 years old. And I used to pretty much learn from my first mentor, Jim Rohn, and he talked a lot about goal setting and different parts of goal setting. And I've tried out all the different routines. I was doing the 5 a.m. thing when I was 16, 17, writing down my goals. I've been through this journey of writing my goals over the last decade or so. It's something that I can speak on myself. When you're setting really long-term goals, so 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, one of the first things it does is it makes it far into the future. It makes it as if that goal is not something that you have an obligation towards today. If you're setting goals so far into the distance, it almost feels like I don't have to do anything right now to get to these goals. It's not like these goals are so big and so massive and they're so far out that there's really nothing I can do right now at this point in time to get to these goals. That's what it feels like to yourself. So what it does is it creates a vacuum, a window for you, and allows you to procrastinate and put off taking action. So that's the first reason of why you want to set specific and short-term goals. The second reason under that is long-term goals don't take into account you changing and evolving. This is something that I've experienced many times myself. I've set a lot of long-term goals without the considerations of my own desires changing and evolving, myself maturing and growing in business and wanting something completely different. Maybe being younger and wanting to live in the city and in the heart of it all. And one of my goals being, I want to live in a luxury penthouse condo in the middle of the city, downtown, whatever. And growing up and wanting a farm and acres of land far into the distance where there's nobody else around. That's an example, which true story, by the way, with myself. But that's an example of goals changing and evolving as you grow and mature, right? So long-term goals, they don't take you into account. Number 3 is if you just reverse engineer a great decade, what is that? What I mean is a great decade is really a great year repeated 10 times. So then you reverse engineer that. You continue to backtrack. What's a great year? A great year is a great month repeated 12 times. What's a great month? A great month is just a great week repeated 4 times. What's a great week? A great week is just a great day repeated 7 times. So that's what it really comes down to, right? A great decade boils down to a great day. So that's what I want you guys to think with. If you really want to have a great decade and you want to have these great goals you want to reach up for over the long term, just focus on reverse engineering that to the short term. And that's another reason for short-term goals. Number 4 is short-term goals allow you to do the best part of goal setting, which is what? I'll give you guys a hint. Jim Rohn, my first mentor, used to always say this. You should write down pretty much everything that's a goal for you, down to the small details. Like I want to work out today, or like the very small, minute goals. He was saying you should write them all down for this reason. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just the reason. Short-term goals allow you to do the best part of goal setting, which is checking off the goals. So that's the best part of goal setting. You want to check off the actual goals. So that's what short-term goals allow you to do. When you do long-term goal setting, and again, I'll speak on this from personal experience. When I spent a lot of time setting goals for the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, what would happen is every single day I'm writing down this goal, right? And what's happening to my mindset? What's happening to my confidence levels, to my belief systems when I'm writing down this massive goal every day? And then I tell myself, or as I'm writing it, I look at it, and first of all, I'm nowhere near it. So I'm far from actually achieving this goal. Second of all, it's not being checked off. Every day I'm just writing it down. If anything, it's creating more anxiety, more of a vacuum, more of an empty space. One thing on top of this that I'll just say really quickly, that Naval talks about, I've talked about Naval a few times, and he says the only way to be truly happy and free, true freedom, is not having any wants, right? So Naval says true freedom is not having any wants. So not wanting anything, not having any goals. So let's reverse that. Let's look at what happens when you're writing these big, massive, long-term goals. What's happening? You have a huge want, a huge desire, and you're nowhere near getting there yet or checking it off. So that puts you in shackles. That's the opposite of freedom. It pulls you towards this thing where you're constantly reiterating to yourself that you don't have it. You have all these wants, which you don't currently possess. So it almost does the reverse effect. And number 5, on the same point, number 5 is short-term goals allow you to move with urgency. There's a key phrase that I want you guys to write here. Compress time. Short-term goals allow you to compress time. It's along the lines of urgency. So compressing time means some people sit there and say, and I hear this when I'm working with clients. I hear this from friends. I hear this just generally from people on social media, whatever it might be, right? I hear people saying, yeah, I want to save, let's say I want to save $10,000 in the next year and a half, like something like that, right? A goal where to me, it's completely achievable and doable within the next month. But I hear somebody say, I want to do that in the next year, in the next 2 years, the next 3 years. Or, people will tell you, eventually I'd like to start going to the gym. Just something very simple, right? Something completely doable. You can take that first step, but people phrase it like that, right? So what are they doing? They're doing the opposite of compressing time. They're leaving it wide open and stretching it when that thing could have easily been done sooner, earlier, quicker, and checked off, right? So the one thing you want to do, and what short-term and specific goals allow you to do, is to compress time. And if you're in sales, if you're in business, and if you have targets, if you have sales targets, if you have revenue targets, you want to look at how you can compress time there as well, right? You want to look at how you can compress your targets. And here you want to be a little bit unreasonable. You want to be a little bit reaching for it. It's totally fine because that's what's going to push you to compress the time. That's one thing I always did in sales. When I tell you guys stories about in 2 weeks, I had these numbers and hit these targets and whatever, that's because I had that unreasonable mindset to compress time. So when everybody else was saying, I have this target or this income goal or this revenue goal for the month, I would tell myself, I'm going to beat that within half the month. So I would set the same goal and target by the 15th. That was something I would actually always do in sales. When I was in different sales roles and different careers, I would always set all my monthly goals by the 15th. And I would just do whatever it took to get there by mid-month and just work harder, move with more urgency, compress time, move faster. Again, short-term goals. And then halfway through the month, I'm already at my goals for the month and everybody else is impressed. I have the entire rest of the month to build upon that and to set new standards, right? So that's number 5. Short-term goals allow you to move with urgency and allow you to compress time.